Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the Draftsmen season finale?
Here we are on a beautiful day, Wednesday. Here we are on a beautiful day, Wednesday.
I have not seen a performance like this on any previous episode. This is next level Draftsmen.
Jesus Christ. Get back to your seat. I'm so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed right now.
You can always erase that.
Yeah.
No.
But no, you can't.
No, you can't erase
You can't erase that.
There's no going back from that.
It's the Draftsman Show. Yeah. That felt so much better in my head before it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it doesn't work until it works. Hi, Stan.
What's up, Marshall? Are you ready for the finale?
I'm ready for the final.
The finale of the finale?
The
Part 2?
final.
/3?
Season
3?
1 Draftsman podcast.
I'm sorry to announce this is the last episode of season 1.
Of season 1, yeah.
And we will be gone
Well,
for a long time. 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
3
People
months.
can make it through.
I think. I hope.
Yeah. There's
We'll
lots
see.
of things
We'll
going
see
on
about
Netflix.
that.
We'll see.
Lots of things going on the
Yeah,
internet.
boy. And remember, we're making a separate Draftsman Show YouTube channel.
That's right.
Separating it from the Proko channel.
Yeah.
So, go now and subscribe to that YouTube channel if you like to watch. If you like to listen, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, get it out of the way now so that you can spend 3 months getting close to the people that you've neglected for this.
Yeah. And so that once we start publishing those episodes, you will get them in your feed.
This is sort of like with the things about how to enhance your productivity, is to plan a little bit ahead.
Oh yeah, this will make you way more productive.
Yeah, well.
In the long run,
Yeah, I think so.
not during the hour you're listening.
Okay. What are we going to talk about during this episode, this final
We're
episode?
going to continue
Oh, that's right, we're gonna
responding to
continue.
people's
Okay, yeah, yeah.
responses.
I'm with you. All right. Well,
We got through 12 episodes.
let's go to our magic boxes.
At the end of every episode, we ask you a question. You guys respond to our questions. And now we will respond.
All right. Which episode are we on?
Number 13.
Number?
Number 13, there's nothing. The question was, should we dedicate entire episodes on a single book review?
Nobody told
Which
us?
book? No, there were a lot.
Oh,
It was just a bunch of book titles.
okay.
What are we going to say? If you want all the books people recommended, go to that episode's YouTube. Wait, what was episode 13?
13 is building art communities, picture clarity, and finding art mentors.
Why was that the question?
Because we,
I did. What's
remember
my
now.
thing?
Yeah.
I reviewed
That's right.
Josh
yeah.
Waitzkin's
The Art of Learning.
Art of Learning.
Let's start with episode 14.
Okay. How would you revise this list of habits? Are there any art habits I left out that you would include? Okay, this was a great episode. One of my favorites. This is where we went down the list of 23 habits for success.
I remember.
And we did like a speed round for each
Yeah.
one. That was super fun.
Isn't it ironic that it's 23 habits of success and you guys are covering 23 episodes?
23
in
episodes.
this finale?
Wow.
Whoa.
What is it with the number 23?
Oh my God.
I don't know. So we asked, how would you revise this list of habits? And are there any art habits I
Basically,
left out?
what ended up happening is people just gave us more habits that we didn't talk about.
Okay, so what do you want to do with this?
I read all the comments and I made a list of all the common responses so that you don't have to.
Stan made a list.
I made a list.
He checked it twice.
Here's what other things people suggested.
Okay.
Habits for success. Take breaks. Draw from imagination. Yes! This is a habit I wish I had developed. And I didn't.
Yeah, but this is one we have talked about
We have.
more than once.
And it's a
And
good one.
People have also said, talk more about it.
Talk more about
Yeah, people have
drawing
said,
from
I want to hear more about drawing from imagination. And I said in a previous episode, just a couple or 3 episodes ago, that we've talked about it.
We have.
Yeah.
But if, for me to talk even more about it, I'd have to do more of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a guest or something.
When I teach draftsmanship, 90% of it is aimed at people who are going to use this to draw out of imagination.
I think that good balance. Draw from imagination, draw from life, draw from imagination, draw from life. Because drawing from life is important to develop that visual library to draw from imagination. And then drawing from imagination makes you more creative and
makes you hungrier to learn more when you draw from observation.
There you go.
And we have covered that. Let us move right on to the third one.
Try different mediums.
Try different mediums.
I like that. Play around, mess around.
Like traveling. Get into another situation where it's little different rules here.
Yeah, and it's kind of like cross-training a little bit. You might learn something from a medium that might not be your medium of choice, but you'll learn something that you can apply to your medium of choice.
We talked about that even from the very first Draftsmen podcast.
You did?
Yes, it was attempting photorealism. And I think I might have injected in there that if you attempt photorealism, it's a photograph, and then you're trying to copy this with acrylics or oils or even graphite pencil. It helps you to know your medium, a few different media. Imitating one medium with another can be hey, this is something somebody brought up about line quality. Bento Zacharias says, I thought about working on my line quality many times, but there are also a lot of other things that I have to do. I wonder if it actually matters. Guys like Jim Lee, quote, look for their lines. Erase a lot, but when they find them, they do find them. Practicing line quality or drawing, practicing line quality or painting, practicing line quality or shading. Well, you get the point. Time is short, too short. I hope you talk about this one day during your podcast. Yeah, Jim Lee goes about finding a line quality by sculpting it until he finds it, which is very different than the traditional pen and ink artist who puts it down in a single stroke. But therein lies the different media, different skills. Some people do get their line quality by carefully stroking it until it's right. Other people want to get it in a single sweep. And that's why even to take a pen and ink piece, where it's done in single sweeps, and to do it in slow motion, or take one that was done in slow motion like what Jim Lee does, where he sculpts and finds it, and try to get him in some single strokes. Good exercise.
That's a good point. Sculpting your lines. That's interesting. I'm writing the line episodes right now for my basics course. And that is a good addition to it. Because at first, it might be really hard for you to get it in one sweep. Thick to thin, the right shape, the right length, the right pressure, whatever, all that stuff. And so sculpting it first, knowing what you want it to look like, even if you can't get it in one sweep, is good in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I never practiced getting it in one sweep, is that I would just go in there and sculpt it until it was just what I wanted.
Well, that's the downfall. If you don't start trying to practice it with one sweep, you might be stuck forever just sculpting it.
Only do it one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is have fun. Yeah. We all got into this because we probably enjoyed it. We were having fun. And then you start getting serious and practicing, and then the fun disappears. I think you always need to have projects for yourself that you enjoy, even if you're doing exercises and you're going through lessons that you know you need to do, but you're not enjoying them. Balance it out with things that you're enjoying. Some people are so strict with themselves, and they have to get through all of this fundamentals for many years before they can do anything else. Good balance.
Yep.
You're going to kill your love for it if you don't have fun.
Use references.
Sure. Yeah. Use references. I think the reason they put that is because there's a kind of a mentality online that it's like cheating to reuse. I think we talked about this, and it's like, no, come on, just use references.
Yeah, references are research.
Exactly. Have a doodle sketchbook where you can draw anything and you can make mistakes. You have one of those, right? All of them are like
well,
that.
Yeah, I started out that way, and then they started to emerge a style. But the problem was,
that's cool.
As a student and post-student, I tried keeping sketchbooks that failed because they were not sketchbooks. They were little show pieces. They were little portfolios. Every page trying to make really good drawings because I'm going to show these to people. And so it defeated the purpose, which is to get in there and sketch and doodle and mess around and try things. And I wouldn't dare to try anything that could fail. So it ended up being, several times that happened with me. It bogged down. I just gave up on it because it was like just trying to do a whole bunch of finished pieces.
I have several sketchbooks where I know it's just like, this is not a great sketchbook. Scratch. It's a collection of scratch paper for me.
Yeah.
I have several of those.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, that's fun. That's the stuff where you're going to go out and play on the playground and nobody's going to take a video of you to showcase it.
It's where I can explore my thoughts without the distraction of getting a good drawing. The next one is join drawing competitions and challenges. I used to do that a lot when I was trying to get my painting career going. I'd join a lot of competitions, and those were great for networking. It's a good way to find motivation to get things done.
You got something to push against.
Yeah.
You betcha.
It's like, oh man, that competition is in 2 months, and the deadline, I gotta get this painting done.
Yeah.
And you got these goals.
All right.
Deliberate practice. Don't just doodle in that doodle sketchbook. Also, do the opposite. Practice deliberately. Keep your workspace sacred. That's another one that comes up in almost every list we have.
We're starting to go over the same territory here. I hope it's...
Yeah. And we're done with that one then. Cool. Okay. So these are all the habits people suggested. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Those are great. Let's move on to, I guess, episode 15. Yeah?
Yep.
Who are some old artists pre-1940s that have fallen through the cracks? Oh, this was also a list of names.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to see this list of names of artists that have fallen through the cracks, you can go to that episode 15.
I do want to mention something that somebody said, since I made such a pitch, and I continue to make such a pitch for the older artists. Someone said in our comments that it isn't that they were better, it's that there was all sorts of garbage back then, just like there is now. And as time goes on, all of that goes to the bottom. And so when you go to hit, okay, yeah.
That's what I told you.
You're skimming
you're comparing
the best
of the best of the...
That's right.
Those generations, and you're comparing all the crap you see today that 200 years from now will be completely forgotten.
Right.
You need to compare the best of the best of today to the best of all the other generations.
You did. Somebody else
they're all great.
Reiterated the point. I think a couple people did. One person
say
did
it better than me.
Yeah, one person did say it better than you. I'm sorry to tell you that. But it's because we do have. You figure how much junk there is. We've got this treasure chest in the backyard buried under there that if you figure it's just too much energy to dig up a treasure chest when I've got all of these knickknacks around, then you miss out on that great stuff.
But it's the treasure chest that everyone uses.
Oh, also, it just gets borne out over and over in classes, filling up the screen with these images and going, oh, Edmund Dulac's stuff, just great stuff.
Episode 16, this was the right side of the brain. This was your
What
critique.
do you think Marshall is missing about the right side of the brain? Or why do you agree with him? Well, there were so many people who agreed that there was sort of a chorus of echoes, which was nice. And then there were the ones who didn't really, just maybe a few disagreed, but the main thing I got from the people who had the alternative view was that it changed my life because it gave me confidence. I didn't have any confidence that I could sit down to draw. Drawing on the right side of the brain gave me confidence that I can achieve something that is not just a symbol. It's a genuine observation of what's in front of my eyes. Mm-hmm. And that is the main thing that I felt was of any value, is lacking confidence, thinking in symbols. This will get me to feel good about what I can sit down and draw and observe rather than relying on cliches.
Is it? That's it?
I don't know what more to say. I feel like I said in that, I spent 10 or 15 minutes on that.
All right, we're knocking these out.
Man.
Oh, baby.
We're
almost done with this one. Woo, finale. Episode 17. What are some unusual ways you've made money? Shawley says, I used to work for a painter. I would create entire paintings in his style, and he would just come and sign them and sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and pay me minimum. LOL, I was very young and just happy to paint for money. That's cool. I mean, sure.
If Shawley got I'm not sure what if they got their experience in being exploited for minimum wage from someone who was making a fortune on it. They got paid to learn.
Yeah, at least that.
I'm big on that.
I mean, no one forced Shawley to do that. They could stop whenever.
That's true.
So they chose to do this. At least I hope no one forced Shawley.
I hope not either. Let's keep going.
There were a lot of people, way too many, that said they make money drawing furry porn. You know what that is?
Yes, and you said way too many. So in other words, that's a huge market.
So you're saying that your fan base,
Yes.
the Draftsmen fan base, is
It was the
full of-
number one response in this for this question. There were like 6 or 8 people that were just like, yeah, I do furry porn.
It's because it's a
This is how I make money.
But
There's
it's
a huge market for this.
countercultural community that they spend money and they draw, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
So it's a way they make money.
Yeah. This may come off as a joke, but I've drawn a lot of porn, usually furry porn, which isn't particularly my favorite thing to draw. However, the experience has given me a couple of useful skills. As far as business goes, I've learned a lot about negotiating. In terms of artistic skills, I have learned to draw things I honestly would have never considered studying, but that come in handy, such as animal anatomy and variety of proportions that unique characters may have. There is this strange fascination with making all genitalia visible, as well as faces, with most commission adult work. One of the most interesting things I've learned is more complex poses and perspectives that make all desired parts of the body visible.
What are you gonna do?
It's like you have to have the front and the back visible at the same time.
Cubism.
And they have to be looking at you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so
Just to
weird.
maximize the experience.
It's great practice, but not all easy to make anatomically correct, I can imagine. I have learned more about anatomy and clothing fabric through this because it has expanded my visual library. Another person, J156, says, been drawing anime waifus on Patreon. Do you not know what a waifu is?
I don't.
A waifu, it's a pillow, right? Like it's specifically a pillow that you... No, it doesn't have to be a pillow?
No, it's just a digital woman who you have chosen to be your significant other. This is the pillows are like a product of that.
Oh, so it didn't start with the pillows?
Dakimakura. Those are the body pillows. That's just a way that you can print out your waifu and have them.
That's just the way you can sleep with your waifu.
Yes.
Oh my God, I thought the pillow was the waifu.
Well, this is someone who says, I learned a lot from your videos, Stan. So thanks.
What? Oh, but this is interesting. I was drawn as a waifu.
Were you?
Yeah, let me go get it. Yeah, so you know Christian, right? We had Christian's crazy questions.
Yes,
So Christian
know
and I were
Christian.
at Comic-Con, and his friend Senti Draws, I think that's how she goes by, on Instagram.
Okay.
She drew Christian. That's Christian.
Okay.
And that's me as a pillow.
I see. And a
a-
little
Oh,
heart
so
between.
you're
I'm the
Christian's
wife.
body pillow.
I'm Christian's
wow.
waifu.
But she did get kind of an idealized anime.
It's an anime version of us.
It really
as
is, and it's
waifus.
recognizable. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I thought it was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, wonderful.
And who's the artist?
Senti Draws on Instagram.
Okay.
Or no, it's on Instagram. She's Senti.
Okay.
CENTI.
Okay.
So are you telling me we're gonna start selling Stan body pillows on the Proko store?
Boy.
No response.
I don't think so, unless we have a lot of requests.
You heard it. You know what to comment.
You're willing to do it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, these next two are kind of unusual. Although they aren't at all unusual statistically. They're just nobody mentioned them before.
What's that?
Family members.
Oh, unusual ways of making money.
Yeah.
Spending time with my uncle.
And visiting grandparents is the best possible source of income.
Yeah. Depends on your grandparents,
Yeah, it does.
but
But
yeah, it could
you're
be.
going to the benefactors and you're doing client relations.
There you go.
Okay.
There's only one more left.
No, there's two more.
Oh, you're right.
There's the guy who's going to steal your idea.
Oh, what? Josh TR says, I'm an engineer and I think I'm stealing your ideas for Proko 2.0 website. So if that counts as an unusual way of making money, then okay. Go ahead. They're not my ideas.
You know what, when people stole Walt Disney ideas, do you know about that? The Disney animators were innovating. They were really changing the world, and everybody else was watching what they were doing and copying it and bringing their game up. And somebody asked him whether it bothered him, and he said, it didn't bother him because if you're the kind of person who has to take somebody else's ideas, it means you're having a hard time generating them on your own. And he's blazing his own trails.
Yeah. It's all about the execution anyway. If Josh, if you execute it better than me, great.
Yeah.
The art community will have an even better website, place to go to. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I'd be interested. We could have a bidding war.
A bidding war? What do you say? Yeah.
Henry the Great American.
Probably been said, but the best way to make money as an artist is to die.
Well, we'll all make our fortune eventually. I'm not sure how he means, though.
He says, how many artists became famous after the fact, after they died? There's more artists who are going to become famous tomorrow that are currently alive than who are already dead. So
I think
I
you're
don't
on
know
something.
if you have more of a chance of becoming famous by dying.
There's a movie called Murder Party that the premise is they get a bunch of artists together and like have them make work, and the object is to kill them by the end of this night so that their art will be worth something.
Wow.
But that wouldn't be, it wouldn't work that way.
It's a pretty silly movie, but it's fun.
It might.
It might.
If the idea of murdering someone the day after they made something becomes a thing, then yes. But like, just because they died. No.
Yeah, but if they, especially, it depends on how they died. It depends on how much attention it got. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
if
going
it
to
has a great story connected to it,
I'm going to tell a story that I'm not going to mention the name of the artist nor the name of the celebrity.
I'm going to guess.
Partly because I might get it a little bit wrong, but this is the way it was told to me.
Okay.
And it certainly fits with what I know about this artist. This is an artist.
Call him Kim Jong-un.
No, I will not call him that. This is an artist. Let's put it this way. It's an artist who couldn't draw.
Call him Marshall.
We went to the same school. He was an artist who couldn't draw. You're good. He was an artist who couldn't draw and acknowledged that he couldn't draw, and instead took things from magazines and turned them into sort of mannequin-like things and gave them titles, and he played the market. He knew how to play the market, that if you get known as profound or you get known as whatever you needed to do within the market of fine art, you can make a lot of money. And sure enough, that's what happened. And he bragged about this, and he became a sensation, and a famous movie star bought one of his paintings for, I think it was $500,000. And then after the movie star bought it, this artist mocked the movie star, saying it was a piece of garbage, and he paid $500,000 for it.
Wow.
And
That's
the
brave.
movie star was furious, demanded his money back, and the artist gave him his money back, and then sold the piece
For more.
Because that was the piece that made it into the news, because the famous movie star.
That is such genius.
That is an unusual way of making money, but it isn't at all unusual. If you watch Robert Hughes.
Oh my God! What a way to insult that celebrity even more.
I know.
Oh my God!
But
Who is this? I need to know.
I'll tell you another time, and you can look it up and see if this actually.
I mean, if it's on the
facts.
news, it's public.
But I might be getting it wrong. And also,
I see.
That artist and I went to the same school.
Okay.
So I'm.
But this is a great story. You're not
It is.
insulting that
Okay.
artist. This is like putting him up on a pedestal. Like, look how genius his marketing is.
If you care about, they say, I'm the kind to do that. I can't draw, but I am really good at getting people to think a certain way. It's a depressing documentary, but it's really worth the time. It's called
Exit to the Gift Shop. Is that the one?
No. It's called.
another one.
Yeah, I know of that one.
Okay.
This one is Robert Hughes was an art critic who hosted a video called the Mona Lisa Curse. And the Mona Lisa Curse is a phenomenon that if something is too well known, it can never live up to what everybody expects. Oh, that's going to be the most incredible work of art. You got this amplified imagination.
Yeah.
Then when you see it, it's say, well, that's it. But that's only the title of the documentary. The documentary is an indictment on the politics and financial arrangements that happen in the fine art world. But one of the things you'll see from it, people complain about the fine art world, and I'm not a part of the fine art world, but they complain about it because they say, look at these people don't know how to draw. They're making social statements and that kind of thing, but it's a different set of dynamics. And if you're going to go into it, then you would want to understand how that playing field works. It's a completely different world from going into entertainment art. And even though it's a pessimistic, it's a very negative view, it is at least someone who was a famous art critic who in probably about the 1990s was taking a look at how that world has become. That will help you to become a player, or it would be one part of it. Making money, not because I know how to draw and paint, but because I know how to make the value of my work go up.
Yeah.
Kill myself tonight.
That's stupid.
Fake your death. And make it so that it gets in the news, and it's like, well, they're not going to get any more from this person, so let's give top dollar for it. Well, Henry, you may be a great American, but Stan is questioning whether the best way to make money as an artist is to die, and I don't have any more to say.
Yeah, episode 18.
That was episode.
Share some inspiration. Who are some people who successfully changed careers after 30? It's another one where I'm just going to summarize what people said.
Go ahead.
It's a list. It's a list one, but it's a list that I thought was really interesting. Bob Ross.
Because he was a military fighter, wasn't he?
He was in the service for like till he was 39, until he actually started. I forgot which
branch, but
which branch. Yeah, I don't remember.
Wow.
It's a Wikipedia search away from finding out, but it's not the point. 39 is when he started.
That's great
and
to
he's
hear.
Bob Ross. He's like the most famous recent artist.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Banksy might be more.
But no. The thing is, everybody knows him as a painter, and his image is out there, and he's culturally an icon.
Yeah. He's like an emoji.
Yeah.
He's that far into our culture.
And he started when he was 39.
Stan Lee.
Okay.
39 before he made his first comic. Wow. What?
Bob Ross was in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay.
Actually, Stan Lee may be more famous than Bob Ross.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Probably.
And way more successful.
Yeah.
Both the same age. 39 must be the age. So if you're 38, don't start yet. Just wait till next year. That's the magical year to start. Susan Boyle. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Susan Boyle is the singer who
she sang on like Britain's Got Talent or something.
Okay, and then everybody knew her immediately there.
Yeah, just the video went viral on YouTube, I think. I love that video. It's so great. I love Susan Boyle. Grandma Moses, she was 78.
I did know about her,
Yeah, she's the one people mention about like, is it too late? And like, well, no, Grandma Moses.
Started at 78.
Yeah. Mark Twain.
Well, I don't know how long it took Mark Twain. He was writing stuff.
Probably.
Yeah.
Van Gogh started at 28. So not as impressed. I mean, 28 is still really young.
Yep.
Monet started painting in his
Monet?
30s and then developed his iconic style in his 40s. That's what someone said. I did not confirm that, but yeah.
And then did I add somebody in there that I just I read? This is just this week in going through those marvelous Jim Vadaboncourt Images magazines about T.S. Sullivan. T.S. Sullivan was a cartoonist who at the same time about as little before, actually they overlapped a lot, Heinrich Kley and that bunch in the early 20th century. He was one of the great pen and ink artists who did characters that he started to exaggerate more and more. Chris Sanders and a lot of animation character artists have been deeply influenced by T.S. Sullivan. I would say if you look at Chris Sanders' work, you see one of the main influences for the way the personalities of these characters came from T.S. Sullivan. And he apparently did not get started as an illustrator until he was 32. I'm not sure. But anyway, it was after 30 that he started to become an artist. He got his skills first, then he started to get his characters, and then he became one of the top examples of editorial illustrators and character illustrators. So yeah, I just found that out this week.
Cool.
I knew his work for years, but I didn't know that he was a late bloomer, so I had to put it in there.
That's the last one. Episode 19.
Episode 19.
Tell us a story of a person who became successful but had their doubts.
Katie Marigold. Like every story ever told of every adult person on Earth?
That's great. Yes, pretty much. Yeah. That's
For me personally, I've always had my doubts that I could be incredible at art, and after spending many hours on working at it, I'm now at a level where I'm mildly satisfied by the result.
No, it's true. It's kind of mocking the question. It's a stupid question. It's like you can literally name any artist.
Oh, well, let me quote Robert Hughes, the guy that I was talking about who did the Mona Lisa curse. Robert Hughes said, "The greater the artist, the greater the doubt. Perfect confidence is granted to the less talented as a consolation prize."
No, I don't think it's like super correlated like that.
I don't think it's absolutely correlated, but it's a caricature. But it's
a caricature of a caricature. It's way too much.
I think it's a useful caricature because I have been surprised at how many people were great at what they did who had so much self-doubt. And I think of Norman Rockwell and I think of Stanley Kubrick because I've read their biographies or autobiographies and I know what people knew about them from the inside. So I've seen it often enough to see that the people I most admire are the people who were so concerned with the imposter syndrome. And I can tell you from my response to students, the ones who, when I say, "How do you feel about this?" "I'm happy with it," are the ones that are blind to how it's going. There's not much you can do.
I agree with that. That with too much confidence comes blindness. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that there is that correlation where it's like you're in the middle. If you get a little more confident, you're going to become a worse artist.
Oh yeah, I don't think that either.
You can't pull it in the same direction.
I know.
Because I know that art is also partially about how well you can perform. Right? Okay. And performance requires confidence. Look at any athlete.
Yeah.
You have to be confident in yourself to be able to perform at high levels.
Okay, so here's why I brought this up. Because tell us a story of a person who became successful but had their doubts.
Yeah.
And Katie Marigold says, like every story ever told of every adult person on Earth.
Yeah, because everyone's had doubts.
Yeah. But boy, sometimes the people who do great work are highly sensitive to whether it's working or not.
Absolutely. There are those people, and then there are people that do great work and have a lot of confidence. So I just don't like that.
I know you don't.
Polarization.
Well, you're just going to have to live with it.
Okay.
Okay, what next?
Great. Oh, well, no, I had something to say about imposter syndrome. I was listening to, again, Seth Godin. It's a great podcast. Have you heard of his podcast?
No. I know who Seth Godin is. I've listened to Seth Godin a few times.
Podcast. I'm not familiar with his podcast. They're short enough to digest in like quick moments of when you have some like 20 minutes.
Unlike this.
Exactly. He says everybody is an imposter. Everybody. So it's like if you have imposter syndrome, yeah, because you are an imposter. Because everyone had to start before they have gotten there.
Yeah.
You're not a great artist from the beginning. You have to be an okay artist, but you have to believe in yourself and you have to decide to do great things and shoot to do great things before you can do those great things. Yeah. And until you do those great things, you are an imposter.
Yeah.
You haven't proven it yet, either to yourself or to anyone else. But today, in today's world, we have the most opportunity to be imposters,
to position
and
ourselves as
Because before, if you wanted to have a radio show, You would have to have someone tell you you're not an imposter. Here's a radio show. Today, you can be a bunch of Joes like us and create a podcast. No one has to validate us.
So
We have to choose.
the negative terminology of imposter is like saying every kid is a fake grown-up.
Yeah.
It's like, so
That doesn't mean
really-
they should stop trying to be grown-ups
Right.
or feel bad about trying to be a grown-up. Today, you could also have a YouTube channel. You can
It's
have your own
amazing.
TV show.
Yes.
So, because we have so much opportunity today, it would be a shame not to use it to be an imposter.
yeah.
Yeah, just find your evil twin, kill them, and take their place.
That way, then you become the evil twin.
Wait, so who was the evil twin?
That's the question.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, no, if you are the evil twin,
Then you'd kill the
kill
good twin.
the good twin and become the good twin.
Okay. So that was the episode 19 was the one where we talked about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And the people that, some of the people I was around, that was a conversation the following week about imposter syndrome. And I felt like what we covered in there was good enough. I mean, it was that everybody's going to go through doubts. So you just embrace it and
I just really liked Seth Godin's approach. And this was a recent episode. He did a full imposter syndrome episode. You don't have to listen to it because I just summarized the whole thing.
oh, you did it beautifully too.
But you should listen to his podcast.
I
love
am
it.
proud to be an imposter while it lasts. As soon as my real success happens, I will have no more chance to impost.
Is that a word?
I don't care whether it is or not.
You're
I'm
such
confident.
a fake. You're a fake talker.
I am confident that the word impost is a legitimate word. Let's move on.
All right. This episode is brought to you by the Proko Figure Drawing Fundamentals course. Learn the core concepts of drawing through the tradition of figure drawing, a process that will allow you to draw dynamic and three-dimensional people in any position and light them from any angle. This is a course that will walk you through the whole process, from drawing the gesture and motion of the pose, all the way to shading the forms. You'll explore how to simplify the torso into the bean and robo-bean, how to mannequinize the anatomical forms, and how to identify important landmarks on the body. You'll also learn how to measure proportions, exaggerate the pose, and keep your figures balanced. Each lesson includes assignments and example demonstrations, which serve as answers for the assignments. I've even included critique videos with real student assignments, so you can learn from their mistakes. So if you're interested in learning how to draw the human figure, and don't want your drawings to look like this, go to proko.com/figure. I've packed it with lessons and laughs, so you can have fun while learning serious drawing skills. Okay, back to the podcast. Episode 20, what are your favorite drug alternatives?
Should I read these?
Yeah, do it.
Meditation, coffee. It's not a drug alternative, but okay. Coffee,
It's a drug.
music, drawing, sex, exercise, sleep deprivation.
Okay.
That can create hallucinations. I have my story to tell.
Yeah.
Shamanic breathing, books, massage, sleep, kids/baby animals.
I totally agree with that. I don't know why I put that one at the end.
Yeah.
That is like a drug, being around kids.
They know
It
that
takes you to a different state of
It
mind.
does, and even pets that you adore, you're putting out chemicals in your body.
I've never experienced as much anger as I.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
that too.
When my dog just barfed and crapped and then ate the poop and then barfed again all over the house.
Could you be more descriptive?
That is a drug. That
I'm sure it
experience
was,
is
yeah.
a drug.
You
you
get
just want to
riled
get
up.
out of that high.
Yeah.
It's a bad trip. Do I want to elaborate?
No,
My dog used to eat her poop.
I was just actually kind of being sarcastic.
Sorry about that.
We got our list. Those are it. Should we read more?
You haven't lived until you've lying down on the floor and someone has put a box full of either kittens or puppies all over your body, and you're just letting it happen, letting them crawl all over you.
That's cool. That
it's a
sounds
drug.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's.
Have you had that done to you?
I have. It was wonderful.
Was it kittens?
It was kittens.
I would hate that. I would
Because
just
it
I would
claws?
explode.
Because it got claws, or because you got?
I'm allergic to cats. Very, very
to
allergic.
Cats. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
I
that
would
be good.
explode.
Yeah.
It'd be a different sort of drug for you.
Yeah, that is a drug. Allergy. Allergens are a drug to me. Mike B says gongs, not bongs.
Gongs, not bongs. I'm not sure what that means.
It's
music.
a meditation, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Or maybe
Well, it could
drumming.
be music too, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And hanging out with kids, Gringo Benedicto, and
You guys,
you guys
my new dopamine resource.
that I will consume and addicted.
Probably will need rehab after the trip.
We'll see. You're gonna have three months to see what it's like to be without us.
Going cold turkey.
Yeah. Carte Isley says alcohol-based markers.
Shower.
Shower.
Warm. Cold if I need to stay awake. Warm if I need to get comfy.
Okay. Oh, this one is about you. Compliments. Do you want me to read this one?
No, let's
To
just
you.
move
I'm going to
on.
read this to you, Marshall. Marshall has an incredible mind, and listening to your discussions opens up my mind.
I'm feeling uncomfortable here.
This is from Hank, the super nerd.
Okay.
Call it divergent state of mind. I feel creatively energized after listening to this podcast. So engaging in a discussion, even if it's just listening, to me is a good alternative to drugs.
Speak Marshall to me.
Speak, Marshall. Hank, the super nerd.
Hank, I understand what you mean. I feel like I get my mind expanded by certain writers and certain movies, and watching a film called Koyaanisqatsi is something that I've watched over and over because it expands my mind. Einstein supposedly every year read Edwin Abbott's Flatland. Do you know the book Flatland?
No.
Now, this is a problematic book. It's late 19th century.
This is great.
It's Edwin Abbott was a mathematician. He wrote a work of fiction that has become really significant in a lot of people's thinking, and it is about a character in a flat world that knows nothing about up and down this way and up or down on the z-axis. It only knows x and y. And so when you come up against another character, you can feel them and decide whether they're a straight line or whether they're a polygon or whether they're a circle. And that's where the hierarchy, the social hierarchy, is based on that. Well, he spends a good deal of the book describing this world from the character's point of view. And then where he takes it, 2/3 of the way through and then toward the end, is really mind expanding. My brother gave me this book and said, you got to read this book, you got to read this book. And I could never get it. And it was not an easy read. It's a short book, but it was not an easy read because it's written in 19th century lingo. But there was one night where I had a cold and I had just drunk a cup of coffee at about 1 a.m. And so it's like, okay, I've got energy. What I'm going to do? This was back when I was in my 20s, and I read that book from beginning to end in one sitting, and I might have finished it at 3 or 4 a.m, and it was hard for me not to call up everybody and say, have you read this book?
Really?
Yes. You have to be patient with the book. Don't expect a lot, but there is a reason why Einstein supposedly read it every year to expand his mind, is because it was a train of thought that where it takes you then points back to you to say, what are you doing with your consciousness? What are you doing with your mind? And I understand how what Hank is getting at is that I listen to some people and they expand my mind. They do open me up to other things. So I appreciate it, Hank. Uncomfortable as I felt, especially the way...
Hank, what the hell? That was a weird...
Yeah, and the way Stan...
The voice that you wrote that in?
Yeah, the way Stan read it was not respectful.
I'm sorry, Hank. Trying to be entertaining.
Recreational reading. Victor Adai? How do you know how to pronounce it? Victor Adai? Recreational
Let's
reading
just
because it
skip
activates
that.
my imagination. Reading is one
You
of
just
the
talked about that.
great ones. Yeah.
Lately, to me, it's been listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot.
Podcasts, if you've got a good podcaster, they expand your mind. That's part of their job.
Teoline Druce. Ketogenic diets, fasting for 12 hours. I eat usually 8-ish in the evening, and next time about 10 a.m. I wake up 5:30 every morning, so I'll have super productive time from 6 to 10.
This goes back to what's similar about finding when your best time is, your most creative time is. Finding right after I've watched a movie, I'm in such a mood that I feel like writing. Right after I've gone to the museum, I used to find that I would go to the museum and I'd get all amped up to make art, but then driving from Los Angeles to Orange County, I'd be so exhausted when I came home. I couldn't make any art, and the next day I'd be recovering. So it became counterproductive, but I loved museums, and that was when I started keeping a sketchbook. And I did some of my best drawings by having the sketchbook. Being in the museum right now is when I'm getting the rush from looking at this art. Right now is when I start moving my pencil around, and a few little pieces came out because having the sketchbook when the inspiration is hitting, not saying I'm going to get the inspiration and tonight I'll see if I can work it out. Yeah. That was a similar thing. We're done with this, right?
With that one.
No, I know we aren't done with it because I want to point out two things from the drug alternative thing.
Okay.
One was, because I'm trying to find some kind of takeaway with this, that the thing about drugs is that they give you the effect first and you pay the price later. It's the opposite of exercise, which you pay the price first and then you get the reward later. That was one theme of it. But the other that I didn't mention, and I wanted to mention because I mention it in classes on creativity when we're talking about the use of mind-altering drugs, hallucinogens in particular, that using those as a source of expanding the mind and becoming creative, everybody is given the equivalent of an LSD trip every 24 hours for free. And most people don't pay any attention to it because it's hard to pay attention to it. But if you do pay attention to it and mine it regularly, there is no negative side effect.
What is it?
It's dreams. When you go into the dream state, you are consciously aware of things that have no, they don't conform at all to the way the outside, the waking world works. And they can have insights in them, creative epiphanies can happen within them. But the idea, the more natural way to get the effect of hallucinogens without ever having to mess with hallucinogens is to aim at dreams. I do like to make that point that if that's what you're hungry for, it does not have to be chemically induced. Yeah. It can be mined if you're willing to give it enough attention. That was one of the takeaways from it.
I like the dream one. I really wish I could focus on becoming a better lucid dreamer. But as soon as I wake up, I forget it. And
it's not important to you right now, though.
It's not, but it sounds fun.
I love them. I think dreams are one of the most fascinating things that happen in human experience. Yeah. And they can be very entertaining.
Yeah. Well, one day, I hope I get good at it.
Yeah, I don't remember my dreams unless I keep a dream journal.
How long does it take for you to start remembering them? Like how many nights?
Pretty quick, like within a week.
Really? Interesting. Episode 21, we asked, it was about creativity. Was the whole thing creativity? I think so.
Yeah, I don't know how this worked out.
These are just fun. This one is just fun. Let's get through. There's only 2 comments, and I thought they were fun.
Okay.
We asked, what's your Jell-O skyscraper idea? For people who don't know what a Jell-O skyscraper is, I interviewed Steve Houston one time, and he said that there's 3 ways of being creative. One of those was just combining things together. Jell-O skyscraper. Boom. You got an original idea. You're being creative.
Okay.
That's the Jell-O skyscraper idea.
And earthquakes can't hurt a Jell-O skyscraper.
If it's strong enough, it can crack the Jell-O.
Oh, not if it's really wobbly and it loves the earthquake. It has fun with it. Anyway,
if you take a thing of Jell-O and you can rip it.
Oh, I guess you can.
If you really shake it vigorously, things will start flying off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Jell-O tragedy.
But good concept.
I was trying to find a way why Jell-O skyscraper could be useful for an engineer who says, hey, let the earthquakes happen. We got a flexible building.
Yeah. Also, the weight would just collapse onto itself.
Yeah, okay, well, we've gotten rid of that.
And human can't go into it. It just fall through the whole thing.
Wood Jello is only a suggestion for how to make it flexible. Keep going.
My Jello skyscraper in that episode was scuba diving bed bugs in water mattresses. And then Dennis says, edible paint, drinkable if mixed with water. This would solve the starving artist problem. I love that.
I like Diego R's.
Yeah.
Silent musicals. Silent musicals could be really interesting.
You see it actually working.
Yeah, interpretive dance. It's dance where the rhythm of the movement and
yeah. Well, then that already exists then.
Yeah, in a way, but it's the idea is to remember we talked about putting limitations on things. That was one of the principles of creativity. How could you pull this musical off if there's got no sound? And then you've got to really get creative with it. You can put the music in later if it's got to be a real musical. Mm-hmm. One of the things people caricature Robert McKee's teaching about that he's against voiceover narration, which he is not against voiceover narration. But he does point out that if you've got to have somebody do a voiceover to explain to the audience what it is you're supposed to be doing the work of dramatizing, then you're not doing the job of a visual storyteller. So his criteria for it is, does it work without the voiceover narration? And if it does, then you're probably okay to put it back in. Mm-hmm. Because you wouldn't put it in unless it was ironic, as is very useful to have somebody tell you the story of how I beat the tiger in a fight, and then you get to see the image and that you didn't beat the tiger in a fight at all. So if you have an irony in there, that can be useful. And the other is that it gives some kind of angle on it that enriches it, that what we're seeing and what we're hearing are not exactly the same thing, that there's more of what was going on in my mind that may very well be ironic or strategic or whatever. But that's a good way to do it, is that if you're going to tell a story visually, can you tell the story visually? And if you can, you've done the hard work. Now you can enrich it with the voiceover narration. So silent musicals might be, every musical composer could figure, how would this look? Let me see it first.
Can we apply this to painting? Painting for blind people.
Well, sculpting for blind people is obvious, but painting for blind people? Yeah, I can.
It's a sculpture.
Well, let's think about it. Jack, one of the things, if you don't understand Jackson Pollock's art, part of it is that I'm going to let the movement of this, I'm going to let the experience of it, almost the dance of putting this paint down, there's going to be a record of it. It's not going to be a record of everything because it's only a flat surface that received all this paint that I threw at it, but it is a record. It's a record of movement.
Are you talking about the artist is blind?
Yeah.
Or the viewer?
The artist is blind. No,
I was talking about paintings for the viewer.
Then that's where impasto, and if you put your hands on this painting,
you can feel the painting.
You can feel the relief of it. Yeah, or even the brushstrokes could be brushstrokes as painters care about anyway. They either go along the form or across the form.
So it has to work just as the impasto brushstrokes, even though they can't see the value and color.
But we don't want to get locked into these Jello skyscrapers and say it has to be made out of Jello. And also, Jello's a brand. It can't be made out of another brand of gelatin. It has to be made out. It's taking the metaphor too literally.
Okay.
We're
done with that one? 22. We're almost done, Marshall.
Wow.
We're almost done.
Episode 22.
We asked them if you guys are interested in knowing more about the inner workings of Proko. Let me know, and I'll try to address them.
Some person...
Who?
That's the name. Some person writes, "What's your hair gel budget?"
Well, I don't use hair gel.
Really?
No. I use hair putty.
Hair putty. Okay.
Yes, I use a hair putty. It costs $18. It lasts me a year.
Wow.
It's Mitchell.
And
Mitchell is the brand.
You can put a link to it and everything.
You can put a link to it. Reformer is the one I used. Stronghold matte finish.
Wow, Stan.
People want to know. I'm giving them the answers.
You are.
It's $18. Lasts me a year. That's my budget. No more, no less.
Okay, they got what they needed from Proko.
Yeah. What about you?
I
Sweat.
probably shouldn't admit that
You use hair gel?
I occasionally walk through the aisles of supermarkets, the hair care products, and
You reminisce. Oh, all these people spending $18.
all of this money that people, I miss the glory of having that head of hair, but I do not miss having to deal with it. It's just wonderful being me.
Okay, yeah. I don't think being bald looks bad.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, look good.
Thanks. I'd be interested in which tools or software you use to implement Scrum.
We actually just use a spreadsheet, and we created columns, and each task is a row. Mm-hmm. We have a column for the story, which is the category of the task. Then we have the task description, the person responsible, how many points it's worth, the priority, if it's done or not, so the status,
Date.
the
Completed.
date it was completed, because then that automatically gets put into a chart that it goes into.
What spreadsheet do you use?
We use Google Sheets.
Google Spreadsheet. You know, a number of years ago, a major game company did a presentation to a small group of how they used, what's the Microsoft spreadsheet? Is it Excel?
Excel, yeah.
How they use Excel to write the games. And they'd color code the columns, and it was an example of creativity. Excel was not meant to do this, but they ended up using it as game strategy design.
Well, this implementation of a spreadsheet is actually a very logical. Like, this is what spreadsheets were made for.
Okay.
It's not that creative.
Universe Artist says, I'd rather have project management for artists as a course. That way, any artist can benefit from it, no matter if they want to go into the business side of it or not.
Great idea. That's a great course. Project management.
Got your wish list of who you would bring in for it?
I've kind of started
I've got a person or two in mind.
with someone.
Okay.
No, I'm not the teacher for it. But
Okay.
it's far away. Don't get excited.
All right.
Episode 23.
Episode 23.
This is the final one we will cover.
This is the one that I haven't even had a chance to read the comments on yet.
Well, here they are.
Here they are.
And there will be 24 and 25 already out by this time, but we haven't published those yet.
Yeah.
So we can't read those comments.
And 26.
26? Oh, yeah, and 20. So 3 episodes will just not get our responses.
Yeah, it's just the way it got to be, though.
Number 23 was, if you're a parent and artist, give some advice on balancing the two to be a good parent and successful artist. This one got a lot of responses.
Yes, it did.
We got some parent listeners.
We do.
And boy, oh boy. Dungo fungus. Sorry. I feel bad for kids with artist parents. They're probably heavily neglected in most cases, and the burden is placed on the spouse. At least if the artist is a working professional, not just drawing as a hobby. I don't think so. I think if you're a good parent, it doesn't matter what your career is. You're a good parent. If you're bad, it doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad. If you're just a bad parent, you're going to be bad, no matter what your career is. I don't think an artist makes you a bad parent.
Yeah.
You brought up
N.C. Wyeth.
N.C. Wyeth. I forgot which book it was, but Andrew was talking about how great his father was.
Yes.
And how he made being a kid so fun.
Yes.
And creative.
One of his sisters said that Andrew was N.C.'s great pride. Like she said, mentioned him as his golden boy. He was really a big deal to N.C., and Andrew didn't have to go to school. He was homeschooled by a dad who taught him. Andrew was really appreciative of the way his dad taught him.
Yeah.
Now, there was one good thing going on, is that N.C. was making enough money to where the family was well provided for. And when artists have a hard time making money, then the whole family is deprived of some things that they might like to get from someone who's making better money.
Yes.
But I know all sorts of artist parents that are making great money.
You can be a good parent and be poor.
That's true too.
You can't associate those things either.
Yes, I understand. I don't feel bad for kids with artist parents unless their artist parents
are bad parents.
Are not, are
I feel bad for doctor kids with doctors as parents.
Gosh, yeah, the stories.
They work way
of
more.
that.
Or lawyers if they're bad parents.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But knowing something about children of parents who are doctors is one of those things where you say, all right, let's look into another profession and see if it's any better or easier.
And doctors make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make their kids happier with their parents?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'd rather have poor artist parents who are great parents than rich doctor parents who are bad parents. Yeah,
I wouldn't zero in on the artist as the thing that makes it good or bad, but somebody does feel bad for kids with artist parents because they are probably heavily neglected in most cases, and the burden is placed on the spouse.
Not always.
Okay, not always.
Not always.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
It doesn't have to be that way.
It can happen that way, but let's move on.
Any full-time job, they're going to be gone for that time. Mm-hmm. Someone has to make money, right? Someone has to be gone during the day. And what, are they neglected just because they're going to work?
Yeah.
MB320 says, I try to draw or paint at least 1 hour a day with my daughters, 8 and 4. They both love it. Also, I'll draw some of their ideas and make little comics or stories. That's cool. That's like an example of being a really good parent while being an artist, is making it fun for your kids to participate in your profession.
Yeah.
And explore their own creativity. You know, it's like they have these ideas and then you make them reality. Right? You illustrate their ideas and they're like, whoa, that's cool. I thought of that. That's awesome.
You know what we might have included in this question
What?
Is that if you were raised by artist parents, tell us the best and worst of it. Tell us, because we could get some stories of, man, I've got some great memories of what I got from my artist parents. That would have been cool. Yeah, but we didn't think of it.
But we got great responses for the question we did ask. So I'm fine with this. You want to read the next one?
I'm a dad of 2 boys. This is Sammy Samos. I'm a dad of 2 boys, 5 and 3 years old. And yes, it is hard to find time and energy and inspiration to work on your craft while working in a CIE and raising child all week long. So to balance these 2 sides of life, here's what I'm trying, but not totally succeed yet, to do. 1, I organize my working times with the consent of my family. For instance, we agree that Tuesday evening will be my working time and nothing else. That freeing my mind and gives me positive pressure to have results. 2, I do creative and practice with my kids. Kids love to paint and draw, so I spend some time painting with them, even do little master studies with them while they're doing some cartoon book studies. It's very good time and good practice.
Nice.
3, I try to convince myself that my daily physical fatigue is way less strong than my obsession for drawing and to become better at it. So I stand up from my couch and go to my desk the most as I can and never regret. 4, finally, I remember that kids are growing fast, and soon enough I will for sure miss their, quote, tiresome, unquote, presence. Thanks, Proko team, for all your wonderful job.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That was great, yeah.
Thank you. I don't really have anything to say. That was just great advice.
I know that there were some specific times when my son wanted me to do things with him where the thing I was thinking, that is the last thing I want to do right now. I just want to sleep. I just want to read my book. Yeah. And I reminded myself, this is a temporary opportunity, and chose to do it. And 2 of those are really sweet memories of his childhood.
Only 2?
Well, 2 of them are particularly ones where it was at crisis point. Tell him no. No, tell him yes, because he's not going to ask you this 10 years from now. And they stood out. They were, I won't take time to tell them now because they take too long. But,
that's good. I like that story. Keith says, here's the reality that I see. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're both in bed by 8. I can paint from 8 to 12. So no TV, no relaxing. Evening is time for painting. I probably paint more than my friends who never had kids because they said it took time away from painting. Sure. Yeah. I mean, Keith, you've got some energy. If at 8 o'clock, you're still going to paint for 4 hours and be mentally clear.
Yeah.
And be able to do it well. He's
doing the thing that we talked about with the
I want to know what their drug alternative is.
This is like the guitarist that had the finger problems. So you have to work harder, and so you do work harder, and the people who did not have as much to struggle with don't get as strong at it.
But I admire his determination. Garl Vinland. I want Marshall as a dad now.
Well, I'm old.
I think 20 other people said that. Marshall, would you be our dad?
I would read books.
To us?
Yeah.
You should start another podcast.
You should start a YouTube channel where it's just you reading your favorite children's literature.
I'll play the role of the person who will come in and read the books.
Well, that would be the whole thing.
That would be the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Uncle Marshall's story time.
I mean, there's a number of other things. I mean, everybody wants grandkids. Not everybody wants kids. But most people, I think, would like grandkids.
Okay, yeah.
Because you don't have the responsibility.
Well,
Like
can
having,
we all be your grandkids?
have the puppies, yeah.
Grandpapa Marshall.
Yeah. I'll be the grandpa who reads. All right. We've established that. We can move on.
Okay. Harbor Anthem. You want to read hers?
I'd like to hear a conversation on the subject from a mom's point of view. No disrespect to dads and all that they do, but I feel like moms oftentimes are the primary caregivers of the children in our and most other societies. I am a mom of 2 and an artist, currently in art school. The only way I'm able to make art is by putting my kids in daycare. I'd like to hear about some well-known artists that were moms before they became well-known artists.
Okay.
Did anyone respond?
There's
with
a
a
lot
list
of moms
those?
that responded.
Let's hear.
read some
Let's
stories
do.
from
Okay.
moms.
Should you read the next one?
Sure. Bree says, I am a mother. Great way to start. Of 2, 3.5, and 1.5. I am pregnant with a 3rd and still find time to do art. It may not be as much as I like or used to, but at least it's something. I usually find the time during my son's nap, about 2 hours, and my daughter will usually draw with me. I'm contemplating use a couple hours after the kids go to bed as well, as long as I'm not too tired myself.
Okay.
And she made an edit. It obviously can be done. You just have to be willing to sacrifice certain things for yourself. Relaxation, downtime, a little sleep. However, if giving up those things negatively affects your life and those of your kids, like losing 2 extra hours of sleep, cause you to become aggravated easily, then it isn't worth it, and you should just wait until your kids are older and less reliant on you, which isn't that far off. School starts around age 5 or 6. Yeah, I think that's a good point. If you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep because you're staying up till 12 painting, you're gonna be more mad at your kids when they wake up.
Yeah. Why don't you read the next one too? Because it's something that related to you.
Yeah, another mom.
Or Andrew.
Oh, Andrew says, I feel like people should check out Eliza Ivanova. Yes. She's a fantastic artist and an animator, and I think she's also a single mom. Someone else says, she's insane.
And they mean that in a good way.
Yes. Yeah. A huge inspiration for me. I've seen some Comic-Con videos in which she's carrying her child while signing books and everything. I think that's one of our...
Yeah, that's one that you produced.
Yeah.
Stan has interviewed her at Comic-Con while she was taking care of her child in between book signings.
Yeah, she was at Comic-Con. She was wearing her child.
Yeah, I
One
watched.
of those, what
I
are they
saw.
called? The carriers, I think. Yeah.
It was great to see.
Yeah, and she's there hustling.
Yep.
Very inspiring. She's there.
It doesn't bother the child. The child's with mom, and there's a lot of social affinity that goes on just with the whole fact of it.
Yeah. It's gonna get harder for her to do that once the kid is running.
Right.
It's when you go for a kid on a leash.
Kid on the leash, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's talking and doing signings while she's holding the leash. The kid is yelling in the back.
But if it can be endured, it's at least entertaining at times.
Yeah. But either way, she's definitely an inspiration.
Yeah. Should I read the next one?
Sure.
Hazel A. Hensley. It's hard work. I must keep a calendar. I try to work or practice daily. Sometimes my kids feel my absence, but I try to squeeze time for them. My health suffers often because I stretch myself too much. As a woman, I choose to have them first and enjoy their childhood for 12 years. Now my youngest is 6 years old. They respect my work, and I drag them with me to the gallery. They both enjoy art as a hobby. I let them choose. But it's hard to keep up with household work, school, family time, and my artwork from home. I would say time management. Organization and keeping an agenda helps me keep with all the responsibilities, family love, and my passion for art. Well, Hazel has come alive, and that's a hard thing, but I'm on it. 12 years of rising to the occasion.
Jody, another thing I did as a mom was to take a sketchbook to church. Oh yeah, this one. This was funny. Or just a piece of paper. During service, I would draw a random line on a page and pass the book to my daughter. She would add another line and pass it back. No words were spoken. You might see it turning into an animal when suddenly her next line morphed into something totally different because that was where her brain was taking it. This became a favorite game of ours. Our pastor encouraged things like this because the kid was still listening and exposed to the service, yet quiet and content to sit through it. We both enjoyed this as a creative, special game between the two of us. That's cool.
Great, Jody.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
Not sure about the next one.
This is probably a dad.
Chuck a screen at your kid. They'll be busy for hours. I do it as an uncle.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Hey, it works. Yeah.
Evan Michael Hardin?
Hard on?
Hope not. You can always practice your tattoo skills on your baby.
God, these men. What is up with you, dads? Uncles?
I think it's
We had all these great comments from these moms. And then the dads are just like, chuck a screen at them, tattoo them.
You know what I think? You know what I think is going on there?
What?
I know that some moms are the entertainers of the family.
Yeah.
But in my observation, it happens less often than the dad who puts himself in the role of the entertainer and is going to make the shocking statements and that kind of thing. I just observed it. I might be wrong.
Wait, what? Hold on. Say that again.
The dad is going to be the one who's going to say the outrageous things.
Oh, of course.
The dad's going to be the one who is going to encourage the kids to fart, and the mom is doing everything she can to keep that from happening. It doesn't always work that way, but I think that if you go back historically, that's been the...
Oh, that's awesome. You're right.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know. All of this stuff is being rethought through.
You know who the male version of Eliza Ivanova is?
Who?
Jeremy Lipking.
Is he?
Yeah.
Because he's a dad who...
He's got like 8 kids, and I always see him with a baby strapped to his chest.
Yeah.
Always. He always has a newborn.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to galleries and all these shows and competitions, and Jeremy was there, he had a baby strapped to him.
Yeah.
It's not even my kid.
No. Because they have so many. It's like every year there's a newborn, and he had to go to these shows. And
yeah, Nathan Fowkes spoke to a group of students yesterday and talked about how they have twins, and that when he was on some deadlines, he would work all the way through the night, and he'd have the twins strapped to his belly so that he could do the work while he's got the twins on him. It was and he said it was really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Lucas Graciano. I don't know how often he did it, but I remember when I was at Watts, Lucas is a teacher at Watts Atelier. Mm-hmm. When I was there, he was the first teacher to have a kid. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, oh my God, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I'm going to strap the baby to my chest and go painting. And, and I think he did. We'd have to ask him, but you'd have to use safer, products. Yeah. You can't.
You don't do airbrushing, and you don't do oil paint.
No terp.
Yeah.
No
Put a little
toxic
gas
thing.
mask on the baby.
Yeah. No,
okay,
you'd have
so
to be safe,
anyway,
but you could still do art.
A dad, probably.
Yeah.
Or somebody without kids said, chuck a screen at your kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I accidentally?
Tara says, Art Germ is a father of 2 kids, married, and is as productive as an artist gets. He's a personal inspiration of mine, not just for his art, but for how he integrates art into his work and personal life. Cool. Check out Art Germ.
Okay.
I recently discovered Art Germ. It's good. Want to read the next one?
Nan, as a mother and an artist, I think it's easier for male artists to still be creating while being a parent, but not quite the same for women artists because society, even our family, expect us to be a mother first. It's especially difficult for women artists who are just starting up in their career. I had to put mine on hold for years because my husband's income can't afford me to be a startup artist and put my child in the daycare. I had to get an office job so we can survive.
Wait, so she had an office job?
Uh-huh.
While she was a mom?
Yeah.
So I don't see the difference between having an office job and having an art job, whether you're a man or a woman.
Now, wait a second, though. She has an office job now. I had to get an office job so we can survive.
Yeah. So if you're a man and an artist, if you aren't making enough money to support your family, well, you'd have to get a different job, or your wife would have to have a job.
Yeah.
It would be exactly the same if the roles were reversed. If you are a female artist and you're not making enough money to support your family, then your husband or the father would have to get an office job as well.
Right. But I certainly agree that it is harder for women with children.
Yes, the cultural expectations definitely.
But it's not just cultural. It's just the fact that a woman has to go through the entire pregnancy and bear the child, and there's the one who is
that part
closer to the baby, and so it's there's more at stake.
Yeah.
For a mom.
Yeah.
Edison Jr. Very interesting, but why is it different to be a father-mother artist or a father-mother engineer? Parenthood is demanding no matter the profession of the father-mother. Maybe the greatest difficulty is to work at home in any profession and raise the kids. Let me answer the question of why artist-engineer. Is that if you're going to be an engineer, the whole world looks at you and says, wow, you're going to contribute to the military-industrial complex. You are going to be a responsible member of society. When you announce to the world that you're an artist, they are much more likely to say, what do you do for a living? It's the fact that engineers, when they get their education, when they get their degree, are more likely to be employed.
Yeah, but are we talking about people who are students when they become parents, or people who already have their career?
In that case,
if you're already making money as an artist, people aren't going to say, well, what do you do as a career? You're going to be like, well, I make money I'm an artist. I make money.
Right. But the fact is that artists have a harder time making a living than engineers. And so that's how come this is brought up in particular. But then Edison Jr. points out, maybe the greatest difficulty is to work at home in any profession and raise the kids. Yeah. I worked at home all during that time of his child. I was away to teach some classes at night, but for the most part, I was there. And so that would be one of the challenges and one of the privileges.
Was your wife there as well the whole time?
And also worked at home full time too.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was our son was.
You guys took turns?
We used to joke that it was homeschooling, but when he gets 5, he goes into the public school system that acts like a daycare. He'll get an education there, but still, because we didn't have television, there was so much involvement with this one child that it was just constant. I mean, there was just never a time when conversation wasn't on, if you know what I mean. It was just interaction.
Not yet. He just started talking.
And he's 2.5?
He's 2 and 2 months.
But he's asking he's asking questions constantly?
No, not yet. He's talking.
Okay.
But the more complicated sentences are gibberish. When there's a simple thought, I get it. I know exactly what he wants.
Early 2.
Yeah, he's 2 years, 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, you've only got about another 3, 4, 5 months where you're going to be hearing. Yeah. You're going to hear opinions about everything.
He's structuring some complex sentences every once in a while.
Yeah.
6 to 10 words all together. Makes sense. Like, whoa, did you just do that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
and the funniest things are yet to be said.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
He's bossy though. He's starting to.
That's not unusual,
order
I'm told.
us
Have you ever heard of the Little Emperor? A firstborn or an only child who, by the time they're 2 and 3, the audacity, that I have the answers for everything, and everybody will bow to my will.
That's cool.
And there used to be a philosophy that you got to crush that, and we thought it was the funniest thing in the world. To see someone who knows.
So they boss you around, you just laugh in his face?
Well
You're funny.
You think you have power.
You play along with it until you don't. You play along with it until you have to say, actually, you're not the one in charge here, but I'm willing to play with you and let you be the one in charge. So when it's all understood, this is a game, and the thing that is so funny is the mouse commanding the lion.
Oh, that's interesting. They know they're not in charge, but they're allowed to
They're allowed
play the
to
role.
be in charge while we play, yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, well, we have actually come to the end of the draft.
Did you not know that was the last comment?
I didn't know it was the last one.
Wow.
Wow.
That's it. That was
Okay.
the last comment.
Well,
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to 29 episodes of the Draftsmen Podcast Season 1, and it's done.
woo!
And we're going to take a break
We are.
for 3 months.
We're going to take a break for 3 months.
But you need to go subscribe to that YouTube channel
Do that.
so that when we come back, you will know. You won't miss it because you're subscribed to Proko. And then there's no new episodes on Proko. And then 2 years from now, you're like, what happened to that podcast?
Where did my
Plan
Draftsmen
ahead.
go?
They're on a different channel now.
Change your wavelength and then come back.
Draftsmen Podcast. The link is in the description.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, man. See you guys.
Woo!
Is that it? That's the ending?
That's a clean ending. I like it that way. Why belabor it?